Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Rainey Toon Talk Sunday Sesh. And join us now, we have former Newcastle player Archie Gourlay. Archie, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
No problem.
Excellent. And Al as well, thank you for coming along to go through some questions as well.
Absolute pleasure, mate.
Excellent. So, any questions? Well, as we're going ahead with the show, get them in the comments. We'll get as many read out as we can as we go ahead, as we do in the show. So, Archie, a lot of questions to go through. And number one, obviously, I think it's an amazing story. It's almost like a film story. So, it'd be nice to get your thoughts on it. So, obviously, Newcastle come up to play Morton in a friendly game, and you must have had the game of your life to for them to say, right, from this game, you're coming back down to Newcastle with us. I mean, how did it all come about?
It actually never happened like that. We played Newcastle in a friendly, and obviously Paul, Mirandinha, Paul Goddard, a few of the big lads were playing. I did have a good game.
Yeah.
And, actually, when I speak to Paul about it, he reminds me I had him in his pocket. But no, I had a decent match. And but I played 2 games after that for Morton, and then that's when they signed about 3 weeks later after that match. But it was amazing. It was to play again. You see these lads on TV, and then you get opportunity to play against them. And I mean, don't get us wrong, Paul was amazing that night. He was unbelievable. But as he was playing in any game, I can't believe the way that this boy plays a match. He's undoubtedly the best player I've played against and played in the same team as. He was fantastic, and I still love him to this day. He really took me under his wing, looked after me, and I can't say a bad word about him. He's brilliant.
No, it's great. I think it's just an amazing story how it's all come around. Brilliant. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned a couple of names there. I mean, who else was kind of playing for Newcastle in that friendly on the day?
Well, my big pal at Newcastle, John Anderson. Ando was playing that.
Yeah.
I think he tried to kick us a few times. I think Mike Lanier played that, and Darren Jackson played. Neil McDonald, and I say Paul Goddard played as well. I'm sure Paul. I'm sure Sarge played that one as well. But as I say, it's people who, at the end of the day, I'm a supporter. I'm a football supporter, and you see these lads, and then next time you know you're training with them, playing against them. It's the dreams are made of, I think.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, before I kind of got into Morton as well, playing like youth football, was it kind of picking up by the scouting system, or was it kind of being local coaching around the area at the time? How did it all start with your career?
I signed schoolboy forms when I was 13 for Morton. So I was always in the Morton system since I was 11, 12. Then at 13, I signed schoolboy forms. And then at 16, I went into the professional game with Beardsley at Morton. I made my debut at 16.
Right,
and it took a couple of years later for me to play. But then the next game was against Newcastle. And then I played 2 games after that, and then I was straight down here.
Amazing. I mean, it must have been quite quick after the friendly, the couple of games. How did the move all come about, and how did you kind of feel when you moved down to the northeast?
It was a total shock, because I was part-time at Morton, and then I remember after we played against Dunfermline, and the manager took us out to the centre of the pitch after the lights went out, everything was out, and he says, "Do you want to go full-time?" And I thought he meant with Morton. I says, "Oh yeah, of course I do." He says, "Good, because I've sold you to Newcastle."
That's class.
That. And I was only 18. I was obviously very young. I says, "I think I better ask my mum and dad first." So I got a taxi to bring both of them to the ground to say, "Is it okay if I sign for Newcastle?" But Morton, and Willie McFall was there, and one of the directors was there, and he says, "Oh, yeah, can you come down next morning?" I said, "Yeah, no problem." So I was down next morning.
I mean, that must have been a proud moment, obviously signing for the club with your family there as well, was it?
Oh yeah. My mum and dad came down, but my mum and dad were at the match, but they'd left to go home, and then I phoned to say, "Listen, you better come back because they're selling it to Newcastle, like getting rid of me from Newcastle." But it's a move I would never ever, if I had the chance to do it again, 100% would do it again.
Yeah,
I love Newcastle, absolutely love. That's why I still lived in here.
Yeah, you've got to take the chance, haven't you? It's amazing.
Yes, you have. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it, because there was a few clubs. Celtic was in, West Ham and Aberdeen. And it's easy for me to go to Celtic because it's along the roads from Greenock. But I'm glad I went to Newcastle, and I would never change it.
It's amazing that. No, excellent. Some great answers already. And Al, I think on to yourself for the next few bits as well there.
Yeah, so obviously you mentioned, Archie, that it was Willie McFall that it was Newcastle manager at the time that signed you.
Yeah.
What are your sort of memories of him as a bloke? What was he like?
He was brilliant. Willie was brilliant. Yeah. He was my manager at Morton was Alan McGraw, and he was a proper players manager. Proper, he looked after you. If you were in the wrong, you get told, but he always put an arm around you, tell you how good you were or how bad you were. And Willie was the same. Willie, I remember Willie saying to me, "When you play for me, I want you to express yourself. Just go out there and do what you do. Don't." Obviously, he tells you what way to play, but he just wants you to express what your game's about. And I thought that just let me do what I want. I'm happy. And John Pickering was the assistant manager. John was a tough cookie. He was a tough cookie. He taught you in no uncertain terms if what you were doing wrong or whatever. I don't think John ever said to anybody to play a good game, but that's the way he was. He was proper old school, and that's and people. That's the way people took it.
Yeah.
So a few people mentioned John. Actually, now you've mentioned that when the people's done the interviews for us, and a lot of people mentioned John. Actually, yeah.
He was a good man. He was a good man.
Yeah.
But, as I say, if you done something wrong, you knew about it. You didn't know. Willie was there. Good cop, bad cop. But Willie was fantastic. Right? For me, personally, I think he was.
So he must have made you feel really sort of welcome and comfortable.
Yeah, it made me feel special.
Yeah.
It was a new signing. People were saying you're here to replace Paul Gascoigne. I wouldn't have thought so. Right. And Willie was saying you're here. That's the position I'm bringing you here for. You need to knock him off his perch, and you need to take that position off him. Yeah. And Paul, because as I say, Paul looked after us. I was his prodigy, as he says. Yeah. He liked that. He used to tell people, he's the next me.
So what was it like though in those early days, sort of mixing with those sort of big names? And how did you?
Those big names, it was scary. It was honestly, it was scary. And then you looking at people when I'm thinking, I know your face. I'm thinking, who's it? There was John Gourlay there. There was Terry McDermott was there training. I'm thinking, yes, Terry McDermott. And I used to train with Terry quite often before training started. Terry was brilliant. And Terry was still pinging 70-yard balls to people's feet in training.
Yeah.
He just took off for training. But it was fantastic. I mean, Darren Jackson was very good when he was there. He'd signed a year or so before me, and he sort of looked after us and told us what to do and what not to do, really. But Darren was good for me there. But it was as I say, it was frightening. I was young. Maybe it was too big a move for us. I don't know. Maybe I should signed for Newcastle and went back to Morton on loan for maybe half a season to learn my trade.
Yeah.
But in them days, 1988, it wasn't anything. It was just you sign for a club and you go. Nowadays, people do sign younger kids and put them back at the club at the bottom from to learn their trade. Maybe I should have done that. Maybe I would have gotten a lot better for me, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah.
So.
Brilliant. I mean, you've already mentioned a few names, Archie. Likes of Gourlay, Mirandinha, the players that you played with in your time at Newcastle. There is some like really big names in what we would class as legends, like Glenn Roeder, McCreevy, and you other played with Kenny Sampson as well, did you? When he was
Kenny. Oh, Kenny was a big star, but he would never. When he went out to training, he trained with the kids first before training starts. He went over the kids, had a bit of keep you up sessions with them, and one touch session with him. Kenny was brilliant. You think Kenny would just sit back with a cup of coffee and then go out and train with the big stars, but no, he got himself was there. I was always there quite early, and in with the kids, talking to the kids, and then out having a bit play with touch ball. And I thought, you know what it is? He's a star. He's absolutely fantastic.
It's really good that.
Didn't have to, but he always made sure he did. Never walked past any young kids were saying, "Hello, how are you? How'd you go on last night?" Kenny was brilliant.
Brilliant. What was Glenn Roeder like, Archie? Because he's a guy who I had so much respect for as a player, and then obviously as our manager. And I thought he was a lovely bloke. I was so sad when he passed away. What you meant with Glenn?
Glenn was a lovely lad. He was captain when I was there, and he had a lot of respect. Willie had a lot of respect for him. He had a big say at the club. Mm-hmm. in team matters, Willie would always, and John would always take him into the office, and I don't know, he would never pick the team, but obviously he would tell Glenn, this is the team I'm going with, formation I'm going with, what do you think? Glenn had a lot of influence, and it just showed the respect he had from the management team if you could take it into the office to say this is the way, this is the system. Yeah, because he would come out and he would always know what was happening. He would never say, you're playing, or this is formation. But everybody knew he went in on a Friday to discuss which formation or which way we're going to play. But Glenn was great. Glenn was a lovely, lovely lad. And it was a shame when he passed. Yeah, but he was a good captain, a very good captain.
Yeah.
If you could go to Glenn with anything, any problems you had, you go to Glenn, and Glenn would just sort it straight away. If he couldn't sort it, he would discuss it with the management. So
that's lovely to hear, and it's it's nothing short of what I expected you to see.
Yeah.
That's great. Paul Gascoigne, then come on. Everyone who's played or knows Gaza, that must have a specific story. Can you think of anything on the top of your head?
Everybody who played in the same team as Gaza could write a book. Everybody. I was there a week, and he had me in the manager's office getting into trouble. A week. I was there a week, and the manager had Willie put me in and said, "Are you going to be in trouble here?" Because I get injured in the first game, so I was on crutches. I never had anywhere to. I never had a car, so Paul picked us up and took us everywhere. We get caught speeding on my first day. I remember Willie saying, "If you're going to be in trouble, you're going back to Scotland." I'm thinking, no, it's nothing to do with me. It was, you can't really tell half the stories about Paul because it's a family. It's a family thing. But he was just. People said he'd be thick. He wasn't thick. He's a genius. Some of the tricks and the pranks he played, you just sit and you think, where did that come from? How did he think of that? It just out of nothing. Out of nothing, he would think of something, and it was fantastic. His entertainment value was you had to watch him. You couldn't take him off your eye.
Yeah.
If you're in the same place as he's in, you had to watch him because you know something's going to happen.
Yeah.
It could be you. It happened to. You've got to watch him. But as I say, he was great for me because he took me all over. When I was on crutches and I never had a car at the time. He took me everywhere. We went and watched the '88 FA Cup final, Liverpool Wimbledon.
Right.
Took us up to Lowfell. He's local up there.
Nice.
And he took us up that night, and then it was brilliant.
I bet that was an experience.
Oh, it was. And then actually, the time we got caught speeding, we came out the ground and we drove down. Where the Irish club obviously do it. The Irish Centre is.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah.
Well, at the bottom of that street, it wasn't pedestrianised. It was opened. The bottom of that street. So he had Mirandinha's sponsored car. I don't know where he got that from. I don't know. Mira wasn't driving it enough. So Benfield Motors says we're taking it off him.
Right.
No, it must have been the YTS who must have thought, why don't I give it to Paul Gascoigne? I don't know why he thought that. This was a Volkswagen Jetta turbo injection, and he was flying. So we're flying down past the Irish Centre. It was a sunny Friday afternoon. He was nearly knocking families over. He was and people were stopping going, "Oh, it's okay, it's Paul." I'm thinking, it's okay, it's Gaza. I said, he's nearly took your whole family out. That's what he had. He was just flying everywhere. So we get caught. We went to Durham to see his agent, and we come back from Durham, and just where the Angel is just past there.
Yeah.
Low lights come on. He was doing about 150 minutes. I remember him saying to the police officer, "Do you know who I am?" And the boy just went, "We know who you are, Gaza." Signing it as your ticket. But he took us fishing a few times. And some of the stories at fishing, the things he would do. It was myself, Paul, Glenn Roder, and Paul Goddard. And he had these little sheds things for the rain. And as you couldn't keep, we're busy fishing, and he's away. If Andy went away to the toilet or something, he would hook someone onto his rod and throw it in the water. Think he's got a massive fish, a big bowl of just stupid things, stupid things. But to be in his company, it's fantastic. You just laugh a minute.
That's brilliant. It's brilliant being able to talk to somebody directly who's that experience. It's fantastic because we all love Gaza. And
yeah.
brilliant guy. And obviously, I'm sure we all, wish him all the best.
Oh, totally.
Would you ever be in contact with him, Archie? Have you seen him?
No, I think I've given him 2 dodgy numbers, because once you get in touch with him, you never he says something to you. I remember that he tried to get me once. He got Darren Jackson and Michael moved to Dundee United. He got their number and he kept phoning them at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning for about a week and a half. Just slagging them off, and they're going, "We know it's you, Paul. We know it's you on the phone." He's going, "No, it's not me." It was just constantly with phone calls, 20, 30 phone calls a night.
Right.
Slagging. I can't tell you what he was saying to them.
Yeah.
I was always mindset to say, don't give Paul your number.
Right.
But, I've not seen him for a few years. Last time I seen him in the mental centre, I think, as if it was, I've not seen him for 50 years. Hugging a kiss, he's crying. No, you know what he's like.
Yeah.
He's a great lad. I can never say a bad thing about him.
Yeah. It's wonderful to hear you again, mate. Mirandinha then, because obviously we've got a bit of a Brazilian revolution going on at the minute at Newcastle. He was obviously the first Brazilian to play in England. So what were your memories of him?
Remember him as the most toned footballer I've known in my life. He was just solid.
Yeah.
And his physique was phenomenal. Because this is an era where after you play a match, you get for 3 or 4 pints. Or on a Thursday night, you get for a couple of pints. Yeah. So we were fit and we weren't fat, but he was so structured as a footballer. He was unbelievable. He was toned, and he had more ability than people actually seen. He'd never done it in training. He'd never done anything in training. He'd done it all on the pitch.
Right.
Yeah. He'd done in training. You get picked last. If you're picking 5-a-side team, he's last.
Right.
I pick a Grayson before I pick him. Because you know he's going to do nothing. He's not going to do a thing. He's going to stand up front and try and score stupid goals. So he's always last picked. But on a Saturday, you pick on a Saturday because he just out of blue, quickly explosive he was. He would end up scoring a goal for you, a couple of goals. But in training, he was always on a treatment table anyway. Him and Davy Mack.
Yeah.
I still see Davy. He lives in Morpeth like myself, and he's another one who we'd won a treatment table Monday to Friday, but he's the first name in the team sheet on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And I remember my first team talk. I signed on the Tuesday, and the game was against Luton Town, where Kenny Wharton sat in the ball. Don't you remember that one, 1988?
Yeah.
Kenny sat in the ball. The boy Steve Forster sat in the ball against Newcastle, the away fixture. So Kenny, remember the team talk? He was going through the team. I remember he came to David Mack and said, "Doubler, just spoil their midfield. Just do what you do. Spoil the midfield and give the ball to Gaza. Give the ball to Gaza." And that was the team talk for. He would go through the right back, the left back, and tell what you want me to do. But his team talk with David Mack was spoil that midfield for them and give the ball to Paul. Yeah. That was his job, and he done it.
Yeah.
Because if you I remember David Mack man-to-man marking John Barnes, Liverpool game. Barnes never got a kick.
Yeah,
because he put him man to man, and that was Dave's job, and he'd done it very, very well.
So on your going to your debut in Archie, obviously you've made this sort of whirlwind quick move to Newcastle, and you mentioned the names that you've been sort of thrown in with. How did you feel when you were making your debut? I mean, I imagine that was a hell of a proud moment for you.
It was. It was Luton Town away on, remember the old AstroTurf. But this was I came on for Mirandinha. Right. I replaced Mirror, and the AstroTurf now is beautiful grass. These artificial grass. Well, Luton, they played on it for 3 or 4 years, so it was like a carpet. It was like a proper hard carpet.
Oh, like the old sun carpets.
Yeah, the ball was bouncing everywhere. I remember coming on, a skinny young lad, and within 2 minutes, Ricky Hill smacked us, and says, "Welcome to the First Division." Proper smacked us. He got the ball, but he threw me as well. and he was a hard lad. I wasn't going to say anything, Ricky. He was a hard lad. But it was I really enjoyed it coming on. I was really proud. My proudest moment was obviously winning the number 9 shirt for Newcastle, which I'm proud now because it means the world to my kids. My kids love it. But definitely. When I got it, I was Hull City away. I think Quinny was injured. Right. Jim Smith threw the shirt to me and said number 9. At the time, it meant nothing to me.
Yeah.
But now, and I've normally I was saying to James, it's normally sitting behind us.
Right.
I've got the switch framed. It's normally sitting there, but just had the room decorated because this is my wife's office now. And so it's up there. Normally it's sitting up there. My son's got it in his room. He's blagged that one and blagged the water one. But
that's something that every Newcastle fan would dream.
When I speak to me pals, me loyal pals who support Newcastle, they say they'd give their right arm to wear the number 9 shirt for Newcastle. And it's something I've done. I've had a man of the match in a derby, a local against Middlesbrough. I've worn a number 9 shirt. So I've done more things than I ever thought I would do. And as I say, my son thinks it's fantastic because he can see my dad wearing number 9 shirt. There's not many kids in Newcastle can see their dad wearing number 9 shirt at this minute in time. he's one of them. That's very proud. But coming on for Mirror, it was massive. Yeah. The travel support then was as good as it is.
Yeah, the best.
It always has been. Because we played as a Saturday. On a Sunday, we played in the Guinness Six-a-Sides at Manchester. On the Monday, Jim Smith became manager. And on the Tuesday, I was on the transfer list. That's how football works.
That's how quick it can change, can't it?
You've got to accept that. You've got to, because he wants to come in and bring his own players in. But he thinks it'll work for him. You've either got to work with it, go in a huff, or just go stale. So I just accepted it. Tope wasn't happy. I mean, me and Jim never ever seen eye to eye. We had a few arguments. We never seen eye to eye, but I seen Jim off. He left before I left.
Yeah.
I had 6 months left in the contract when Aussie came in, and then I was moving back to Scotland. I had moved back up to Scotland. Mick Martin had sorted something for. He was at Celtic at the time, and then I played against Everton in a reserve match away, and I played against Forest, I think, away. And Aussie came in and says, "I want you to stay.
All right.
I want you to take an extension your contract. I want you to stay." And I thought, well, here's a manager who actually wants me now.
Yeah.
Plus, at the time, I loved Newcastle. Well, I still do. I love Newcastle. At the time, I didn't want to move away from Newcastle. Mm-hmm. So I thought, I'm happy to give up that chance in Scotland, but I'm happy to sign with Newcastle. And then he says, "I want you and Clarkey to be the main midfield. I want you two to fight it out to be the main centre midfield." And the way he played the diamond formation really, really suited me, and obviously suited Lee, because he always said to Lee and I want you on the ball 90% of the game. I don't want you tracking back. I don't want you chasing players down. Get on the ball and make passes, which was great. Yeah. Me and Clark were just flicking balls here and flicking balls over there, and the balls were getting taken off us. We're just watching people tracking back. People calling us and they're going, "Hey, we're told to do this. We're not told to track back there." But me and Clark loved that diamond set. It's fantastic. And then me and Aussie had a little fallout. I said something maybe I shouldn't have said, and I think I broke his wrist in training, playing. We're doing shooting practice, and he says no chipping. You got to just strike the ball. So I was first on to ping the ball. He tried to punch it, and I broke his wrist. Oh, he was having a right go at us, and I don't know if I can say this. I remember I was really mad, and I turned and I said, "Don't forget, Aussie, we win the war, not you." I think it was a bit wrong to say. So the next thing I know, I was on loan to Gateshead.
Yeah.
I was talking to Nicky Quinn in November. We were laughing about it. He says, "Remember that day you said that to Aussie?" I was thinking, I can't believe I says it. I say the same thing. I say something similar to Kevin as well, which never made things good for me either. So and Quinn was saying about that. He said, "I can't believe the two things you said to two managers." And yet I was a quiet boy. I was a quiet lad. I was.
We've all done that one. We've all put our foot in it and said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Heat of the moment, isn't it?
It is. And then when Kevin, as I say, I spoke to Steve Wraith on one of these chat web things, and what was it like when you left? I says, I think I stopped crying at Carlisle. I just did not want to leave. As soon as I got to Carlisle, I think I stopped crying. I thought, I'm leaving the place I actually live. Yeah. I was there for 4 years. I was myself and Tommy Wright were the longest serving players.
Right,
we both signed on the same day, and we were the longest serving players there. And it broke my heart when he says, "Well, I will want you." Obviously, again, he wanted to bring his own players in, which I totally respect. And if he wants me to move, he obviously doesn't fancy me as a player. So I thought I need to move on, but I was devastated, absolutely devastated. And to this day, I was gutted. I'm absolutely gutted. Like the way it went. So maybe a wee chance. But that's football, as you say. It's so quick. Changes like that. Good things and bad things. But I say I had 10 good years as a footballer, so I met a lot of lovely lads, went to the best places, stayed in the best hotels. So I don't know.
That's the best thing is the memories, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, there's some good memories coming up on the next bit as well. I mean, just before we get to the next set of questions, you mentioned the Gaza stories, and I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I think Steve Howie did a podcast for Under the Cosh a couple of weeks ago, and one of them he mentioned, he said Paul Gascoigne had a car. And what he would do, he would kind of, if he knew, I don't know if he was playing it, who it was playing for, but if he was playing back up in the northeast, he would tell the physio, "You follow the team bus in my car, so you would come afterwards." And he would ring the police.
Yeah,
and see how many cars gone missing.
I was with Steve Howie on Friday. They were doing a thing on Friday night. I was with Steve, John Beresford, and Keith Gillespie. So I was talking to them.
Oh yes, yeah.
We had a drink before the on stage. We're talking about that. We'd phone the police.
I couldn't stop laughing at that.
But things like that. Where do you think of things like this? But I think he done it to a few people, not just one. I think he done it to the physio. I think it was a physio at was it Rangers or I think
was it Everton? I think I've heard a story.
Everton, yes, it was Everton, yes. Everton, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's done it to a few people.
Hilarious.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Question coming from Stephen, which was actually literally word for word my question for the next part of my questions. You got man of the match against Middlesbrough, and what was your most memorable moment from that game? And obviously, getting the man of the match, I think it was your second appearance. That must have been a great feeling for yourself. Yeah,
I played in the reserves the game the night before. So Jim Smith said to me, "You're in the first team squad." So I thought, I'm just there as a member of the squad. I won't get a game because I played a full game for the reserves on a Tuesday.
Right.
I thought I'm just there as part of the squad. So I remember going to my local Italians for my pre-match meal, as I normally do, and I remember the lad who owns it saying, "Your usual, Archie?" I says, "No." I says, "I'm not playing. I'm just a squad player." I think I had a prawn cocktail and a pepperoni pizza or something like that. The best thing to have before a match. I remember driving down on the bus on the coach, and Jim Smith says, "You're on the bench." And I remember going, I could feel this pepperoni pizza coming back on us, thinking, "Oh no." And he named the team, and I'm looking and I'm thinking, I was either Neil Simpson or Wayne Ferriday. It was one of them two in his team, and I'm thinking, I know what they're like. They're going to throw a wobbler here. I think within 10-15 minutes substitution I was on. But the most, I don't know, whoever's asked this question, I don't know if you remember, there was a 50-50. I remember the ball got up in the air. There was a 50-50 ball, and it broke, and it fell. It was myself and Stephen Pear's the keeper. I thought, I'm in here. But I can always remember a centre back, and it was big Tony Mowbray coming here.
Oh yes, yeah.
I remember, I think, I'm in. It's 70-40 my favour. I'm in. And as I was getting closer, Big Moss is getting closer as well. And I think he's fantastic. Tony, fantastic. A great player, honest player, but a very, very hard player. Mm-hmm. I remember as I was getting closer and closer, the favour was getting to him rather than me. So I remember he got the ball and he smacked me as well. I remember done 2 somersaults and I hit the deck. I remember he's bouncing back up again and starting to run. And Jim Smith shouting, "Are you all right?" I said, "I'm fine." He said, "The ball's that way." I was running towards. Honestly, I was running towards Middlesbrough supporters. I didn't know where I was. And I remember I met a lad in Hawley about 15 years later. He was at the match, and he was saying, "Oh, I was at a Newcastle Middlesbrough match, and this young lad get hit off Tony Mowbray's running towards us." And I was going, "That was me." Honestly, he hit us that hard. I done about 2 somersaults and landed face first on the ground, and I just jumped up and started running. And that was it. But, that was the most memorable bit of the match, I think. Me getting hit a big Moser. But it was, I love that game. I had a really good game that game. And it sticks in my mind as it's a man in the match on a North East derby, which is special because it's a big occasion. It's the local enemies and things like that. So I love that game. I remember it very well.
Very well. I mean, from kind of signing for the club, the games you played, like you say, the memories that you mentioned there, what would you say was the best memory overall of your time at Newcastle?
The best memory? As I said, at the time, it meant nothing to me, but it's my number 9 shirt. I'm in the number 9 book. Maybe just for one little line, but my name's in that book for wearing the number 9 shirt. These famous players, Shearer, Cole, McDonald, all of them, and I'm in that book, which I've actually got. And as I say, it means the world to my son. Well, my daughter just didn't. It means the world to my son. You think my dad wore number 9 shirt? He's actually got it hanging in his room.
That's a mixed class, that like. Yeah. Who would you say was the best player that you've played with or trained with at that time when you played for Newcastle?
Obviously Paul, but I played in a charity match about 2 years ago, and Peter Beardsley played.
Right.
And I was standing going. It was Peter's in his 60s. I was thinking, bloody hell, dropping balls on people's feet. It was on, and I've got to know Peter very well. I speak to Peter quite often, and what an absolute gentleman he is. Absolute gent. I could phone him and ask for a sign, someone sign or something, and it was not a problem. Not a problem. I went to my daughter's friend died when she was 16 a few years ago, and I asked him, could he donate something for the charity? It's a big, massive charity day, and he gave me his 1986 World Cup boots. He wore.
Oh, yeah.
He gave us them.
Yeah.
Brought myself, dropped him off at the hotel where we had the big function on, and it was. Then some guy from Jersey bought them for £900, and then Peter phoned and said, "I forgot to sign them." He met me in Morpeth one morning, signed them, and I'm thinking, what a guy. What a guy!
Isn't that?
I've had the pleasure of meeting Peter Beardsley
he's an absolute gentile.
He is, and and I've always said he's the best, most naturally gifted player I've ever seen at St James's Park.
Obviously, you've seen on Facebook his goals.
Yeah.
He's never had a tap in his life. He's never had a tap in goal in his life. Every goal would win goal of the season. Every goal he scored.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen him have a tap in goal.
We've said for a long time, if Messi scored those goals,
yes,
it'd be like world famous goals, and we all know. But he was a genius. He was superb. Yeah.
Do you know what I always says? And you put a yellow strip on him, and he won't look out of place.
Mm.
Yeah.
He would easily fit in the Brazilian team.
Yeah.
Peter Beardsley would easily. There's not many players, and with Brazilians made heyday. You put Peter Beardsley in that, and he will not stand. He will not figure out a place. You think he was Brazilian? He was absolutely phenomenal. And even to this, I think he still plays 5 or 6 once a week, and I think he's still doing the same. Still doing the same. But it was a pleasure to meet him. But it just I've got to know him more, and he's a gent.
Yeah, he's a gent as well, isn't it? Hopefully, I think that's Lee's question came in there. Literally, I hope that answered the question. I think it literally just came out as Archie started, so hopefully that's answered the question for that one.
Paul, when I played, but recently I've got to put Peter up there with him. I also played in the same team as Chris Waddle in a charity game. When Waddle was he was, even when he finished playing, he was still a fantastic player. So the 3 jobbies.
Cracking memories. And back to yourself, Al, a couple of questions now about leaving Newcastle, which I was going to go through as well.
Yeah, I mean, you've sort of touched on some of it already, Archie, which we can hopefully go into more detail over.
Yeah.
I mean, just talking about the managers that you obviously saw a few managers in your time at Newcastle.
Yes.
You obviously mentioned, we've talked about Willie McFall, Jim Smith a little bit, our dealers, and obviously Kevin Keegan.
Yeah.
What are your sort of memories of them, and like what were you? Who was like the best coach? Who was the best man manager? What are you sort of?
I've got to say the best man manager was Willie, because I'm going to be. He signed me. He wanted me there. He wanted me. Yeah. And as I said to you earlier on, when managers come in, they've got their own team in their head. They've got their own players. They want to change things, because obviously if they've come in, it's because this team's not working. So I've got to say Willie, because he wanted me to play the way I want. It's the same with Ozzy. I liked Ozzy's philosophy in football. He just wanted to. He was just attacking, and he let me. And as I say, me and Lee were today sitting the midfield job. He just said, just get on the ball and just do what you want to do. Just you do what you want to do. As long as you're on the ball 90% of the time. So I would say Ozzy and Willie. Willie was a big influence for me staying down here.
Yeah.
Because I was homesick from the start. I was 18, never been away from home before, and he was a massive. I kept going to see him until I was homesick and this, and he was a big factor for me to stay here. So I've got to say Willie was John Pitt would just tell me to go. he was ruthless. He was ruthless, John. Just go, you Scotch, whatever it was he called us. But I say Jim put us on a transfer list. He didn't really want us, but I played most of my games under Jim.
Right.
Yeah, I played most of them under Jim. So
when Jim Smith was there, Archie, was Bobby Saxton his number two?
Bobby's number two, yeah.
Well, like my sort of last memory of Bobby Saxton was that documentary they did on Sunderland in the year.
Yes.
Let's say he was a really colourful character. Was that
he was. Yeah, Bobby and Jim used to fight like cat and dog on the bench. Honestly, on the bench, they wouldn't agree on anything. I'd never agree on anything. And even when we had a reserve match, both of them would come and watch, and at half time they would come down and have a bit. And even I remember I scored three against Blackburn in reserve away at Ewood Park. We weren't having a particularly good game, but we're 3-0 up, and Jim Phillips would come in, his face would be red, and he'd point everybody out and in their face and swearing and everything in their face. I remember Bobby coming in and said, "Well, Archie's doing okay. He scored 3," and Jim Smith still managed to pick up faults with me. I'm thinking, what have I got to do to make you happy? He just wouldn't have it, would not have me as one of his players. But him and Bobby was a great character, but they would fight like cat and dog on the bench in the first team games. Proper fighting, arguing each other. You're wrong. And I'm thinking, I thought you brought something to number 2 to bounce off of ideas. And I think it doesn't work with you. Bobby was as you say, Hal was a colourful character. And he was very much hands-on in training. He took a lot of the sessions.
Right.
Jim was always there and took a few, but Bobby was he was proper. But this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. So he was. Kevin never really took them, but he wasn't really hands-on. He let other people do it. Terry Mack was just there on his phone with the horse bets and all that. And he was there for the crack, Terry. Willie and John Pickering took most of the sessions, but Willie was always involved on what we were doing. He maybe set it up and then leave John to go through the session. Ozzy was he was very hands-on with training. He was always there, done everything. Tony Galvin was assistant. The quiet man, Tony. He see a couple of words, but Ozzy was stop, start. So he was, I think it's just Kevin was the only one that wasn't very much hands-on.
Yeah.
And I think I've talked to a few people. I think Steve Howie hit on that on Friday night, and I don't think a lot of people were happy.
Right.
But, it's just if people ask you a question, you've got to be honest. I'm not going to lie to anybody.
Yes, yeah.
I'll be honest. It was Kevin was the best thing that happened to Newcastle. I'm not going to disagree with that.
Yeah.
He wasn't a hands-on manager. He made you feel you're the best player in the world, so you wanted to go there and prove it to him.
Yeah.
Not maybe you always want to play for the fans, but the way Kevin spoke to you as a player, you wanted to satisfy him, make him be proud of you, if that makes sense to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also it goes hand in hand with the fans.
Yeah.
It wasn't I don't mean to disrespect to Kevin. He wasn't the best trainer, but during games, he was. You couldn't beat him. He
Yeah,
made you
of course.
feel.
That's not the first time I've heard that, Archie. You know, I've heard of
Yeah.
other people saying that, when I've listened to interviews from other players and whatnot.
Yeah.
You mentioned before, obviously, the time the time came for you to leave Newcastle and how sort of gutted you were. How did that sort of come about? Was it when Keegan came in, started making changes, and did he have a sit down talk with you, or?
No, when Kevin first came, I was on loan to Gateshead because I'd fallen out with Ozzy, and he came in and said, "What's the situation with you?" And I said, "I'm absolutely delighted you've come as manager." I said, "Because you're the person I need. I want to play for Newcastle. I love playing for Newcastle. I want to stay here." I said, "I'm on loan at Gateshead. I don't want that." I said, "You're the person now that can relight my career here." And he was delighted. He was absolutely delighted with that. He mentioned it in training. He came to the players saying, "This is the players I want. Lads like this want to play for the club." And then we had a situation in training when we fell out, and then within a day I was gone.
Yeah,
I was gone within a day when we fell out. And he's very much like that. He done the same with Quinny. He fell out with Quinny for no reason, and then next minute Quinny was gone.
Yeah.
And it's.
I remember that because it was a strange one because I loved Mickey Quinn. I was just a little kid at the time, but loved Mickey Quinn and still do. And I always thought it was a shame that Keegan just didn't fancy him. But obviously,
I don't know why.
Yeah,
because Quinny was giving him good tips on the horses. I don't know why.
I think Terry Mack loved that.
Oh, they had their own horse line, and the phone line in the horses. There were three different phones. There's a manager's phone, there's a phone for anybody, and there was a horse. There were three. Honestly,
yeah.
I knew we had two phones. Where did the red phone come from? I was a direct line to the horses.
Brilliant.
That's a true story.
Yeah.
Me and Kevin, it wasn't a massive fallout, but we had words, and then next day I know Mother wanted to sign us, so as I say, I was up the road, and and as I say, it took me to Carlisle, as I say, to stop crying because I left the club I loved.
Yeah, I mean, so you went to Motherwell.
I was there 2 years.
Yeah. And what have you got any sort of specific memories from there? Any sort of good memories, bad memories? Anything?
No, the worst thing I'd done was leave England. What I should have said to Kevin was, listen, obviously you're not going to play us. Don't play me. I'll train. End of the season, I'll leave on a free. And I'll get a club down here. I should have went back to Scotland because the manager was wrong at the time, Tommy McLean. He was just, maybe it's me. Maybe I was outspoken too much by then. When I was a quiet lad, and I had a few words with him, and we fell out there as well. So, can you see it? Can you see a pattern coming here? You see the wrong thing at the wrong time. My life stays update all the time. So, but I wasn't and I was glad to get away from there because it wasn't Mother wasn't a nice place. I wasn't happy there. I didn't play my best football. So, I always had my house down in Morpeth. So, my wife's from Morpeth. So, I always planned to move back anyway. After 2 years, always planned. So,
yeah. You ended your career with Hartlepool, is that right, Archie?
Yes, I tell you, I ended it there when my good pal of mine, Dave McCleary, took over.
Right.
I was at Hartlepool, and then Dave came in, and obviously we're really good friends, and he took us an office. I said, "I'm not going to. This is not going to work with both of us here." I said, "Dave, I knew that. As soon as you signed, I knew it was going to happen. So, no hardship. I'll move on." And I'd planned to stop playing anyway. To be honest with you, I was in a rut. I wasn't in a good place. I wasn't fit. So I thought, I'm gonna have to try and get a job somewhere and just maybe play part time, which I did. I played for Morpeth and Bedlett and teams like that.
Yeah.
But I was in, as I say, my last season at Motherwell, I wasn't training properly. I wasn't playing as much, and I just thought, it's not for me. And I knew in the back of my mind I was going to stop. But I gave it a year. I was at Hartlepool. I was at Preston, Hereford, Partick Thistle. I went to Linfield as well. Right. And my wife was saying, "Well, do we buy a house here? Do we buy a house there?" I'm thinking, month-to-month contracts. I said, you can't really And then I sat down and I said, "Listen, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to finish. I need to find a career elsewhere." So
and you've been in the Northeast ever since, Archie, is that right?
Yeah, I moved back down in '94.
Right.
And so I was 88 to 92. Went back to Scotland for 2 years, and then since '94 I've been down here.
Yeah.
So I always say when I first came to Mortmouth, I says I'm going to buy a house here and I'm going to retire here.
Right.
So
and you have fantastic.
I don't know about retiring, but I'm still here.
Brilliant.
I think Harry just mentioned there as well, going back to Keegan more of a motivator than tactical. Does that kind of hit the nail on it? Yeah.
Yes, Harry, yeah, definitely.
I think sorry, Archie.
No. And what a motivator was, I kind of thought he got everybody, as you seen with entertainers, he got everybody on the same page. He had them all playing the best of their ability. So he didn't just sit down and just say, right, he sat down with you individually and told you how good you were and what you were going to do for him and how you're going to do it. And they went out and done it. So to Harry's question, yeah, he was a motivator. And he's one of the best motivators that got around at the time. If not the best motivator, I don't know who's better than him now. I don't know the manager, managers won now. But he was definitely, you could tell we were bottom of the league. We're bottom. Kevin came in and he saved us from relegation and he got us promoted. You can tell what a motivator he was. He was the best thing that's happened. Because if Kevin never came in, let's be honest, I think we'd have went to the ground.
Yeah. I mean, they're sort of my first memories as a Newcastle supporter was when our dealers left and sort of Keegan came in, and my first Newcastle game that I went to was the Bristol game. You know, and so Keegan was sort of a saviour for me. And he'll always be sort of held in high regard. But what you say there about his sort of the tactics versus sort of motivation, I'm sure it was Keith Gillespie I heard was saying that basically his team talk was never sort of tactical. Is that right? He would never there was never a tactics board where he would say, I want you here, I want you there.
No, never a board. Never a board.
Yeah.
It was an arm round you.
Play.
Yeah, arm round you, sitting down, you're sitting having a minute to yourself, thinking about the game, and he would just, to me, but this is what I've been told off the lads, he'd come over and sit beside you, how are you, what did you do last night, right? Yeah. Do you know, and then he would just tell you, just sit with you. And then you feel $1 million, you feel, oh, bloody hell. Yeah. I'm going to be there and I'm going to perform. And then he would just mill about, he'd just work the room, and then see somebody. If you seen somebody sitting down, he'd be over at him, sitting down, arm around him, saying, and people. It was great. I think it was great. I mean, 2 or 3 games I was there. Obviously, if you're not playing in a dressing room anyway, and you watch him, you think it's amazing that you're not hearing the way, as you say, the tactics, but you're seeing people buzzing on a high, and that's just because he's had 2 or 3 minutes with him. Yeah, and what he's going to do, and you can't take. I've never ever really had a go at Kevin about his tactics, but you can't take that away from what he's done for players. He's made players much better than they actually were. Just being in his company, just playing for him, being in his team, and these players went on to do bigger and better things as well. And
he was an absolute superstar, wasn't he? I mean, after George Best, he was probably the next sort of celebrity footballer.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah,
he was a brilliant player, and he was, the sort of aura that he had, I would imagine, would just be motivation itself.
When he walked in, when he first time he walked into the stadium, the dressing room to meet us all, it was wow. And that was Roy Aitken was there, and all different people were going, wow, it's Kevin Keegan. That's Kevin Keegan.
Yeah,
and he lit the whole room up. Spoke to everybody, made you feel welcome. Probably had in his mind then who he wanted there. Never let him, just made you feel welcome. And he also, when he came in, there was a few things that off the field things we had to go. He made sure everybody was there.
Yeah,
we used to do talks and things like that, and used to at last minute you used to do, I can't make it. I'll pull out and I'll no with him. Everybody's going. We're going here Thursday night. We're all going here. We're doing this. Next Tuesday, there's no game. There's no reserve match. We're all going here. We're doing this entertaining thing for this social club dinner, and everybody was there. Everybody was there. Yeah, kept us together as a team.
Yeah.
Kept us as a team together. There was no clicks here or clicks there. Everybody was there, and that's it. You had enjoyed it, you didn't, you're still going to be there. And you're going to talk to the fans. You're going to help this out. You're going to do that charity thing. You're going to do that.
Yeah.
Which I think was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, that's really good. I mean, you mentioned...
So, a lot of players who would never go to things. You'd ask to go. I never ever said no to anybody. Because the fans were great. The fans were great with me. They never slaughtered me. So I'll go anywhere. I'll go anywhere. I got on with them. But there was some players who would always try and not go to things, not go to hospital visits, which I thought was terrible. I'm not going to name a few, but there was people who would after training would go to the RVI or go to the Freeman and see these kids and all that. And I was up there. There's a couple who never ever done it, and I thought, no. But Kevin made sure, and if you never, not it never ever happened, but I can imagine if he never turned up, he would know about it.
Yeah.
He would know.
Yeah,
and
I mean, that ties in nicely into that, like, definitely.
Yeah, and to be fair, he was at most of them as well. He didn't just say, "You're going." He came as well.
Led by example.
Led by example. Why he was there as well. So he
really good, isn't it?
He changed the whole thing for the North for the Newcastle fans. He get us all closer together because we were split. We went through a bad time. It wasn't the best squad Newcastle's ever had, and the fans were rightly so on our cases when we were playing. But he managed to change that within a few weeks. Can I go back to one thing you were saying? One of the most memorable things at Newcastle. There's one thing, which when Willie was still manager, we were playing Norwich. I think it was a game he got sacked after he got sacked. We were playing Norwich at home, and I was sub with Ian Bogie. I think we were getting beat 2-0 at the time, and you know what it's like when the game is about to start. As about to start, that roar from the gully, that roar. It's still the hairs in the back of your neck stand up. That before the referee blows the whistle, that roar at that corner is phenomenal. Well, I remember we getting beat 2-0. It was me and Bogie. Now I'm not saying Bogie and I going on was going to change the game. I'm not going to say, but he says you two get warmed up. So as we get warmed up, because the fans were going mad, the roar in that place for seeing me and Bogie getting warmed up, and that will always stick in my memory to the day I die. That roar, and I was going, my God, that was unbelievable. And that's just us two getting warmed up because obviously the fans think, they're going to change tactics here, they're going to change something. Two players are going to come on and take this rubbish off. But I'll never forget that roar when I came into the dugout to go to the Gallagher to get warmed up. That roar was, I can't describe it. I can't tell my son, and he's going, He goes to matches now. I'm saying there wasn't 52,000 there. It was 27 or 34,000. But that roar from the Gallagher was better than it is. I mean, don't get us wrong. The atmosphere today is fantastic. It was brilliant. Love it.
Yeah.
But that section in the Gallagher in them days, when it's all open, honestly, talking about nudie hairs in the back of your neck, just brilliant. So that and the number 9 shirt and coming out to get warm to go on as a sub, that was brilliant.
That is class. That I love that. So it's class. That I remember that story definitely. I mean, last couple of questions that we get onto just before we finish. I mean, just when you mentioned some of the youth that was coming through at your time, obviously Steve Howie, Clark, Elliot Watson. Could you say that they were going to go on and have a good career and stay in the Premier League and everything as well? Yeah,
but when Lee came in at the training, he came in training before he left school, and you could always tell. I heard about him, about the schoolboy things and all that, and the captain schoolboy, and you can tell. You can tell. It was him. There was Alan Thompson. There was 2 lads at Sticksuit. You could always tell they're going to be players.
Yeah.
The only young they come in, and then when Lee started to train with the first team, he didn't look at a place. You'd think he'd been there 10 years. I think he'd been there 10 years. But there was Steve Watson, who's my apprentice, Steve, Robbie, Elliot.
Oh, yes,
yeah. Alan Thompson and Lee. But there were 4 fantastic players, but you could always tell Tomo and Clarky, they were going to be something special. And I'm a wee bit, I wish Alan got his chance to stay at Newcastle, because I know that they had Scott Sellers at the time. He came in and sort of pushed Alan out. Alan was young, raw and young at the time, but I seen what he's done at Celtic, and I think
he's a cracking player. Like
Tom was like, you could open a tin of sardines with left foot.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
I mean, he got a couple of England caps, didn't he, later on in his career? But
yes,
maybe if he'd stayed in England, he'd have featured a lot more, because we struggled for years on that left-hand side.
We did, aye. I think you're right. If he stayed in England, he might have the chance. Even though Celtic were doing well in Scotland, he was a pivotal point up there. I think he scored a lot of important goals for Celtic to get into these finals, the Europe final, things like that. But I thought he gave Robbie, Lee, and Steve a chance. I thought I wish Kev maybe gave Alan a chance to prove. I wish he gave me a chance to show him that I was there. I was there because I played in John Anderson's testimonial. As I say, I'm still very friendly with John. I speak to him once, twice a month. I played his testimonial, and Kevin was playing it, and he come and he's telling me what a good game I had, and he says, "Where are you now?" And I went, "Motherwell, I'm for Motherwell." And he went, "Well, what more could you ask for?" I says, "You said you staying here." I says, and he went. So I wish he gave me a chance to show him I wanted to be here. Well, I knew I wanted to be here. What I could have done for him. I'm not saying I'd have done a great job, but if he gave me it's just a little thing that niggles me about Kevin. He never gave me the chance.
Yeah,
they gave other players. But as we've always said, as we said at the start, that's football.
So, I don't know if you were involved at the time, Archie, but we had the, like you say, going back to the Howie podcast a couple of weeks ago, and it was a bit of a funny story that I just couldn't stop laughing at the time. I'm sure he said it was Aussie in training, and obviously they were going through a bad patch. So he kind of set up his 11 that was starting on the Saturday to do some shadow play, literally against nobody. And he said, he had to pass the ball around. So the centre forward was kicking off, passed it back to the centre mid. Centre mid passed it to Steve Watson, who turned and passed it back to the keeper, who was tying his laces, and it went in. They were getting beat 1-0 off the shadows. And he said, and Ozzy just came out and said, "No wonder we can't win a fucking game of football." Was that right?
That's true. That's true. But the other one, Steve could not pick up one is when Jim Smith was manager on a Thursday, we'd play. You really know the team on the Thursday, but was going to play on the Saturday. So you'd put that team out and bring the reserves. So the reserves play against the first team. But it was always if a ball broke down, it would stop play. If the first team were an attack, it would let it go. But if we were defending it and the play broke down and we were on the break, he would stop it. It was ridiculous. But then there was one week where he just play. I think after 15 minutes, the reserves were up 4-0 against the team that's going to play on a Saturday. He went ballistic. He went absolutely mental. But not the first team. Had to go at us in the reserves because we were 4-0 up. We should have let them win, he was saying. he's going. But then he's going, "This is my team for the Saturday. How are you going to win a game if you can't beat my reserve team?"
Yeah.
But I thought when Steve's going to talk about we used to murder the team on the Saturday. We used to murder them all the time. He said to stop play. Oh, stop! Can't back dressing room go. But the Aussie one, that's true. Yeah, he passed it back. It was Tommy Wright. Tommy Wright was tying his laces.
That was it. Yeah, Russ was right. Yeah, that's what you mentioned. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing that. I mean, just mention some of the names there. I mean, we've had quite a few on. Obviously, Paul Watson, Anne Flamore, Albert Craig, Tommy Wright, Mickey Quinn, who's done kind of the written interviews. I know Paul's done a live one, and Tony as well. And some great lads and so many memories. And as we said before, as you say, you're still going to the matches now, and you love for the club. I mean, it must be still nice keeping in touch with the players that you've played with in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Paul started up a former players thing, which I've come on board since the beginning of it. So we had a few meetings with the clubs, and we've done really, really well. We've got 300 former players who are now on the system, who come to games when we get a chance to get the game. But it's nice to meet up. We have some friends, we have some matches and that, and it's some of this. James, some of the stories is fun. Well, James, you were at one of the games.
Well, I was going to say that I'm always mentioning Al because, like you say, when I came in, and obviously I interviewed quite a lot, like a few of yous, and because of the day, I was expecting literally to be sitting with my son at level 7, and as soon as he said, "No, you're actually coming in," I was just gobsmacked. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. And then afterwards, I was like, "Yeah, I just should have said I should have said this." I couldn't believe it. Like I was actually where I was.
But even you go back, it's great memories. You just talk about the old days and some of the players and some of the Gaza things and other things, and it's really really good. You laugh the whole match, and you go for a few. We've had a few times we go for a few pints, and it's fantastic. It's like you're seeing lads you haven't seen for 30 odd years, and who you think you'd never see again, and it's fantastic. We've got our own group chat for all the players as well, and there's some good memories on that as well. We keep in touch a lot, so we're trying to be the first club in the world to have this base thing, and we're doing really well. But we've sort of hit a stumbling block since the new owners have come in, which they haven't stopped us.
Yeah,
they're going to be on board with us, but they'll need to sort
so much out, isn't there?
Yeah. First, and then we'll sit in the back burner just now. But we've had some fantastic days, and they've really backed us and everything, and we've looked after. You've got to remember, some of the players don't get the money in them days as they do now. There's some players who are really hard up, and so what we've done is we want to invite players back. We've got a table. We want to invite players back who can't afford maybe to come to the game and bring a guest with them and want to support us to see these former players, because when you walk up the stairs, there's a few. I still get it myself. People saying hello and kind of a photograph and an autograph, which I think is lovely. It's nice. It's nice to be still remembered. But there's some players who have not been there for 30, 40 years, and when they come back and people come to the table and ask for autograph, you can see in their faces that they're overwhelmed. And it's just nice to get these players, because some of these players played 300-400 games for Newcastle, and now they're nowhere now. They can't get the games, so we try and bring them all back. That's what the main thing we're trying to do is because the older generation still want to talk about these players.
Oh, I think the Burnley game, I'm sure that was there. That was when I'm sure there's two lads from when we won the cup. Yes, and that was the bit that got me at half time when we came in. I was told Alan, the lads that helped us out with the Toon talk, and it was just literally at half time I came in. And I finally got the encouragement to actually get a beer and six. I was so nervous, and literally I just sat in silence, and all I could hear is, "Can you remember this game when we did that? Can you remember in training when we did this?" And I was just sitting with a big smile on my face. It was absolutely amazing.
That's all we talk about is all we've got left is for memories. That's all we've got left, and it's great to bring them memories back up. I played in a golf charity game on Thursday with John Watson, a lad who was
John,
yes, but he I think made a few appearances as well. And we're just talking about the old times, and it's great. It's great just to talk about former players, and the crack is it's as if you're still in the dressing room.
Yeah.
It's 30 years ago, 35 years ago, but it's as if you were in the dressing room yesterday. Some of the stories and some of the things he's saying, but it's great. It's really good, and I knew you enjoyed it. You enjoyed it. You enjoyed the
Parking never stopped talking about it for days.
The stories, aye. You have to come. Oh, you have to come to the next one.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Absolutely
amazing.
I'll get 2 tickets set aside for you. I'll get 4. I can bring a guest each.
Brilliant.
That for you.
Oh, it was amazing. It was. Before we go, Archie, we've got to mention, obviously, like you say, just your love for the club now and still going to the matches. I mean, we were talking about this last week, and after when the season finished, we're going to continue doing like shows every week, and one of them's going to be a season review, and we just can't believe that everything that's happened. Obviously, Bruce is still in charge. Mike Ashley, we get taken over. We go on this mad run. We sign Trippier. We sign these players. We end up staying up by X amount of points that we didn't think we would. We can't believe this has happened in one season. I mean, what's your thoughts on the season?
When Steve was manager, I always say, for the past 4 seasons, we've always been fighting relegation, and then we've got a good run, and it's kept us up. And every season I say, this might be a season we might struggle this time. And I honestly says, we're relegated. At Christmas, I said, we're relegated. Even before Christmas, I said, we're going to be relegated before Christmas. And then this takeover, and I says, we could be relegated even with the takeover. And I says, listen, if we stay up, it's a massive bonus for us. But I'm keen myself for starting from scratch in the Championship. I never in a million years thought we were going to stay up. And I'm a positive person. And I thought, there's no way we're going to stay up. I'm keying myself up to, let's start from scratch. Championship, let's win that. Let's get into the Premiership and let's hit it. So, and I always says, if we stay up, it's going to be a massive added bonus. And it's phenomenal. No, we just need to get rid of 9 players and bring 9 players in.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my final question. I mean, as a fan now, what is your expectation now for the next couple of years at Newcastle?
Do you know what it is? I want to say, like anybody else, I want to say we're going to win the league next year. We're going to win the cup. I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to thinking we might be at Wembley at a FA Cup, or might Wembley for a League Cup. Might not win the league, but we've a hell of a good chance. And we might be going to Wembley thinking we might win this. Instead of going to Wembley thinking we're just here to make the numbers up.
Yeah.
We potentially could have a good cup run now, because I think we'll buy more players, so we'll have the strength and the depth to chop and change. So we might have like Man City and Liverpool, the depth they've got when they chop and change for the FA Cup. It's still a really good team. It's not really weakened. It's still a hell of a team. And I'm just looking forward to going with my son, my daughter, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law to Wembley. And we're thinking, we can win this. I'm looking forward to maybe 5-6 years down the line, going to Barcelona, going to Madrid, in Europe. I know people think you Geordies are mad. No, we're not. We're not. But we've got to be realistic and think, give them a chance.
Yeah.
We can't just go and buy a whole new team. Potentially we can. We've got the money, but you've got to just take it. It's easy into it, and it's just go along each year, improve each year. Let's get stability in the Premiership, have a good cup run, where we get a Wembley run in, and then let's try and pick European places, maybe the Europa Cup. Maybe just let's gradually each year, but let's be patient with them. Obviously we're always back. We're not there for the they just slag the manager off. I'm thinking we're there to support the team. I couldn't give a damn what you're slagging the manager. We're there to support the team, so let's support the team. We're the best supporters in the world. Let's prove it, which we do. The flag thing is phenomenal.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it?
Week in, there's 52,000 people there. Doesn't matter what you put on that pitch. There's 52,000 people going over there. You can't get that anywhere else. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. So let's just be patient. Let them build. It might be 5-6 years down the line. It might be. I don't know. Maybe. Hopefully it's not. But if it is. I'm waiting. I'm potentially waiting, and I'll look forward to the time. I was thinking of playing against West Ham, playing against Arsenal, thinking they're not going to beat us.
Yeah.
Because it just shows you at the the Man City match, how far we are really back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're all in our heads rolling. We're thinking we're going to do something here. No, we're not. That's different class. But we potentially have the chance of being like that. And I've been deadly serious. We can get players in, and we've got one of the boy Trippier is world class. He's
fantastic.
He's the most attacking right back I've ever seen in my life. He's everything. His touch, his first touch doesn't control it and then look up. His first touch is always away, creating something. It's always creating something. Can you imagine Callum Wilson being fit?
Yeah.
When Trippier was playing, he did 15 goals, 16 goals by now.
Easy.
If it's keeping that boy fit as well, I like him, but it's keeping him fit.
Yeah.
Then they're talking about the boy from Everton today. He got injured.
Calvin. Calvin, wasn't it? Yeah.
Now, he's injured again. You seen him in the last 10 minutes struggling.
Yeah.
So it's. I say if we get some quality, maybe 5 quality players beginning of the season, and get them early doors. Don't wait till Ashley. Don't wait till the last. I've always says, why wait until the last day? Get them in the first day, and then they've got the whole pre-season with you. They've got the whole friendly matches with you, where they can gel together. You buy somebody on the last day of the season, the last game of the last transfer window. What chance they got? It's going to get thrown straight into the team. If you get them early doors, get them training with you, get them working with the lads, then you'll be a chance.
Different story, isn't it?
Oh, completely. But let's get these lads in. Let's get this club going again. It's our club, innit? Let's get it going. Let's prove to people. I'm sick of people saying Newcastle a massive club. I'm sick of saying I know they are, but what they're going to do? I'm saying I know what they're going to. Let's show what we can really do, what the fan base can do for this club, because it is a 12 men when you've got them on your side. Once they're behind you, you've heard other players talk about it now. the boy Fodder for the Watford, saying it's unbelievable. He plays against Newcastle. He loves it because the atmosphere.
Yeah, so, exciting times.
Looking forward to see what happens. Looking forward to it big time. But we've got to be patient. I know we don't want to be. We've got to be.
Yeah, that's the main thing, definitely.
Yeah.
No, but Archie, honestly, thank you. I've never laughed as much on one of the shows as much as we are now. Honestly, absolutely fantastic. And Al as well, thank you so much for coming on to help out as well. Absolutely fantastic, isn't it? It's brilliant, isn't it?
It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's been lovely to meet Archie and hear his story. Has been fantastic. Great bloke, and hopefully meet you in person soon, mate.
Yeah, when I get you them tickets for the former players, I can tell you the proper stories.
Look forward to it, mate.
No problem. Thanks very much, lads. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. But again, anyone watching, get yourselves across, obviously, to the Facebook page. A lot going on this week, building up there. Obviously, the Arsenal game tomorrow, and then all our final build-up for our Burnley game coming up next Sunday as well. Obviously, it means a lot to the Burnley next week, because as you're saying to David, and getting beat. See what happens in midweek. Could be down to 3 teams next Sunday, so it should be very exciting next week. Hopefully, they'll get beat midweek. So I like you say, go down to the last year. I like you see it a bit drama on the final day. But no, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and Archie, thank you so much for joining us as well.
Cheers.